Hello again. Um, this is a continuation of the series that I titled Figuring Out My Fears. This would be the second video, and I was having a bit of a troublesome time coming up with what to cover for this one, and in the end, I ended up coming up with, I ended up with something as I'm recording. This one in particular, though, is is not purely just one thing. It can connect to many different fears as well. It can kind of branch out. So the video that would be following this one in the series is also going to be about at least no, this one in particular is going to be connected pretty closely to the fears that I share in or the fear that I share in this video. Uh, it might come up later where I share other fears that are connected to this one, but for this one in particular, it's kind of just going to be a sequel or a continuation, more building off of it and digging deeper into it. I'm going to tackle the general one here, and then I'm going to tackle a more specific version of it in the next one. So, without any delay, let us move ahead. Uh, First question of my five: what am I going to be covering? What am I trying to figure out or confront today? And this is a pretty big one. A fear of loss. I think this is a fear that many people have to some degree. Doesn't really matter who you are. I can guess that most people are scared of losing things. I'm not quite sure most people experience have the same experience with loss as I do. Probably either more intense or far more mild, one or the other. And they probably have entirely different feelings on it as well. This one just seems to be a bit too diverse in order for me to get any concrete reads on. So, while that is a tad disappointing, who knows? Maybe through this I can find common ground with other people. The second question, as typical, is, or as is going to be typical, is how exactly does it affect me? How does loss affect me? And seeing as this loss can come through in multiple different ways, this is kind of going to be multifaceted in a sense. Obviously, there's loss of loved ones, possessions. Loss encapsulates so many things, hence why I'm going to be making a direct sequel to this that directly connects with loss, or sequel. It's more of just a continuation, expanding upon what I'm establishing here. Um, but for the most part, in general, uh, any real form of loss inspires an incredible level of sadness in me, which my brain interprets as a bad thing, which is fair. Sadness isn't exactly a positive emotion, but regardless, it still is something that I feel. I guess maybe I wouldn't point it out if it didn't feel so overwhelming. And this is also because it doesn't just happen with loss of loved ones. I I can tell because um, I had, yeah, no, this is the appropriate example. I had a dog that I was very close to, and you know, as the circle of life goes on, she died. It's pretty normal. It hit me pretty hard, even if at the time I didn't fully realize it. It still hits me pretty hard now. It's not exactly something that I look on to fondly. The death, that is. I still really love that dog. But it's particularly that it's not just at these types of losses that these types of emotional connections that I feel that incredible level of sadness. There's also a more milder one, like just losing connection with a friend, and I felt incredibly sad there, which is again, I think, a pretty reasonable feeling to have, albeit maybe a bit on the extreme side. The difference and what I find mostly peculiar is how this sadness also comes through when it comes to getting rid of certain personal possessions that I don't necessarily have any real connection to. Uh, about, I think, a year and a half ago, I was cleaning out my room because it was a total mess, complete shit sty. It was terrible. There was one path to my bed from my door, and that was pretty much it. Everything else was just littered all over the floor. It was just a bunch of crap that I've had from goodness knows how long ago. It really was just a pure mess. And when I was cleaning it out with my friend, uh, I noticed myself experiencing a level of sadness that I didn't quite expect. Because most of this stuff didn't really matter to me, whether it be some random homework paper from school at the time, or, I don't know, some fucking some bauble that I ended up picking up because it was given to me in a gift bag. It didn't really matter what it was. There was still a level of that incredible sadness in me. It wasn't now, to be fair, it wasn't nearly as pronounced and and intense nor long lasting as the two examples I stated before, but it seemed to be for a short moment of the exact same intensity, which definitely worries me. Something's a bit strange there. Something that I had no real connection to, I'm losing by pretty much just giving it away or throwing it away because it's garbage, or I consider garbage anyway. And I'm still feeling this level of attachment for it is a bit bizarre. Admittedly, I have gotten over that part because it's been a lot easier to get rid of things that I really don't have any form of connection to. But the fact that it's there and the fact that it also still kind of affects me in a sense of, I guess, paranoia, it kind of scares me. I don't really I don't really like that I feel that intensely for things that don't really matter to me that much. And admittedly, that does scare me quite a bit, as I said earlier. um, the third, I believe that is the third question. On to the third question. Apologies. How do I handle it? This is the answer for a lot of these, but I really don't. It's kind of like how I tackle depression, where I don't really do anything and I just kind of fucking sit around and wait for it to pass away, which might be the proper response in some cases, but I feel like in this one there's something there that kind of needs to be addressed. I don't really understand why. It's it's bizarre. It's really bizarre. I feel like it shouldn't be nearly as intense, and also I probably would, if it wasn't as intense, I probably wouldn't have developed a form of paranoia for major disasters happening. Live in California, I hear about the LA fires all the time, but another another massive paranoia of mine is earthquakes. I don't remember what it's called, but we had a massive earthquake a while ago, and it's been predicted that it should have happened already, I think. I might be misremembering things, but the fact that even that thought exists at all has been leaching into my mind, sort of being like incredible, sort of feeding into an incredible level of paranoia to the point where things that I actually have a pretty decent connection to are sort of flashing in my head as gone, being destroyed, going up in flames, whether it be friends, family, or just objects. Something like this laptop I have here. This is pretty important to me. I use it to make these videos. I mean, I could use my phone, but I like the laptop format better since I don't actually have to hold it, and it allows me to focus more on actually articulating myself. So, whenever I think of losing it in something like that, it kind of gnaws away at my mind. It's not exactly healthy, and I really don't know how to deal with it besides just, well, as I say here, letting it pass. It's rather vexing. And it does actually hold a pretty it has a chokehold on me. Uh, Especially since with the other series that is essentially a benchmark of how I'm doing. The biggest lesson I've learned from not just last year's but also this year's is that if I really do want to bring about change, I'm going to have to lose something. See why this is, and immediately, suddenly, this becomes all the more interesting because how am I going to overcome something as habitually consistent as a pornography addiction when when I'm afraid of loss? I don't want to lose it. I catch myself legitimately thinking, I don't want to lose this, even though I know it's unhealthy. I know I don't like it, and it essentially puts my entire body on autopilot while I'm stuck here fucking like essentially trapped, letting I don't know, something take control and do everything for me. And I still, despite that level of, I guess, terror, that level of hatred for this addiction, I still find myself thinking, and this is consciously thinking too, not some back of the mind, instinctual thinking of, I don't want to lose this, which is terrifying. I do want to lose this, but my fear came in. It's literally controlling me. It's 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 scary. It's really scary. Um, kind of gives me chills just like actually talking about it. It's it's not the greatest feeling either because there's also certain just lifestyle changes that I would like to make that could legitimately help me in the long run, give me more time. But instead, I think, well, I don't want to lose the time doing this. Porn addiction is one of them. Um, Another one, I just I find it very difficult to. I've talked about this on the other one. Consistently get the habit in of brushing my teeth, mostly because I forget. But there's also the I don't want to get up from watching whatever video or playing whatever game. It's I don't want to get up and waste my time doing that when I could be experiencing this, which already incredibly unhealthy mindset. I'm disappointed in myself that I even fell into this, but I am here now, and the idea that being scared of losing that time so that I can essentially extend my entire life by doing something more useful or more not useful, a lot healthier for myself is rather scary. I like to be rational, yet as most people are, I'm still controlled by nothing more than what feels like base instincts. um, but I guess an overarching theme of this would also be loss of time because I mean I'm 20. Ugh, I'm gonna die. Holy shit, I'm so fucking old. It's very easy to think that. I already, rationally speaking, I already know that's not an issue, but irrationally, where fears typically come from, it kind of gnaws away at you. I'm wasting my time. I need to do the things I love before I die. Stuff like that. It's very easy to rationalize in your head. Oh, well, I'm gonna die eventually, but I can extend my time by being healthy and enjoying life to its absolute fullest. And if I really must extend my time for some paranoid reason, I can just, I don't know, go in to do stuff that makes me uncomfortable, and then boom, suddenly time slows down. But it's it's not really that simple to the irrational mind. To the rational, it works really well, but the irrational kind of inflates it to an annoying degree, a degree that, well, makes you kind of uncontrollable by yourself. So, yeah, I'm kind of, I guess I'm kind of tackling that. And I really don't know how to handle it. I guess maybe, ooh, I could go to therapy. One, therapy's expensive. Two, admittedly, it's a lot easier to talk to myself or just look myself in the mirror and literally see me talking to myself than it is to vocalize this to another person, as the vulnerability, as the last video should signify. Um, so yeah, that's why I'm doing it. It's tough. In a sense, this is a time sink too, but lucky me, I actually established this as being helpful because it is. So, in a sense, I'm kind of immune to the losing time part on this because I feel like it's worth my time and it's something that I would like to hold on to. And extension, losing my phone or my computer, the only things that I have cameras on, could actually be devastating to me. The thought of it is okay. I don't like the thought of that. I don't like that I bought that. It makes me it makes me fundamentally uncomfortable and incredibly sad, as I said. It's simply it's simply the thought of it that can set me off sometimes. Obviously, not all the times, and sometimes it really does take a physical thing to actually be lost, but it's mostly the thought part that actually gets to me. Physically losing something is fair. Only thinking about it is kind of where I draw a line, I guess. And then, what do we have for the fourth question? Going a bit on a ramble, but that is the whole point of this. Where does this stem from? Let's see exactly what I wrote down in order to gauge my thoughts at the time of writing. Yeah, as I put it oh so eloquently, I have no clue. I really don't know where this comes from. Maybe it's an instinctual thing of just not wanting to lose anything, but for the most part, it's all just speculation. Maybe, I don't know, I'm some spoiled fucking brat who lived up in a middle class neighborhood, so there's a mixture of not wanting to lose anything whatsoever and sort of valuing what you have. Maybe there's that, but again, as I put it in this notebook, it's really all just speculation. And speculation can be valuable, but for the most part, it doesn't really get to the source of the issue, nor does it confront the issue. It does help to know where it may have come from, but at the end of the day, I think number four is kind of a little less valuable than every other question on this. And then number five, confrontation. How do I confront it? This is, yeah, this is also another one where I don't really have a clue. Maybe, maybe I should start researching how to deal with anxiety. Maybe I truly should just go to a therapist. I don't really have any ideas as to how to tackle this. It's one, it's not easy. Two, it's incredibly complex. The fact that the fact that I don't really care too much about the physical reaction because I see it as reasonable, yet think that the thought of that is terrifying, kind of shows the sort of, I guess, strangeness of one, the human mind, and two, just me myself. It, maybe I need to tackle things with maybe I need to look into things on how to tackle paranoia. Maybe I need to look into things on how to tackle anxiety in general. Uh, Maybe I need to look into things on just tackling loss. There's so many facets I could approach this from that it really doesn't seem plausible to write it all down and do it all. At least not right now, anyway, since I'm doing other stuff and trying to make lifetime changes or lifestyle changes. It might be worthy to just wait a little bit, but clearly the reason why I'm doing this video and also why this is the second entry in the notebook is because this is a pretty major problem for me. It's not it's not very simple. And as I've even displayed in this video, it can legitimately affect my efforts to make those lifestyle changes, to properly, um, get healthier, become better, as as was my New Year's resolution of last year. It's, well, I guess it's still technically, but I just focus more. There was no need to clarify that. Ugh. Oh man, and now I lost my train of thought. But yes, it is it is a legitimate problem, one that I certainly need to deal with, because this is really bad in the most, I guess, basic terms possible. And the fact that it can affect my goals as well as just trying to be healthier, I really do need to figure out a way to tackle this. And unfortunately, unlike the vulnerability one, where tackling it may just be customizing myself to talking to other people and just, well, conversating, this one is a lot more complex, and it's not as easy as just, no, go talk to somebody about it. It is a deep-seated anxiety that I feel. This is probably going to be a lot harder to deal with than I think it is, and much like most addictions, it's probably going to be a constant fight once I do find that answer. So, I'm not, admittedly, I'm not entirely sure where to go from here. Part of the reason why I'm even doing this part is if people do end up seeing it, maybe I can get a recommendation from them. Maybe it can help them. Who knows? Mostly, I kind of do end up seeing these as like as a sort of cry for help, in quotes, not actually a cry for help. Otherwise, I'd just call the cops. But it's a sort of eh, it's a sort of way of asking for advice without making like a well thought out post. More allowing me to spew out my thoughts and really, pour my heart out. Be vulnerable, as was the first video. So, mm, that's the entire point of doing this. And as of right now, this might be the one, this and the next one, seeing as they're very connected, might be the one thing where maybe it would be nice to just have some help from, I don't know, an outside source. Give me a little bit of advice. In response to the last one, I don't know how it changed now since I haven't checked yet, but a guy commented with a guy commented recommending me someone to watch, and that's very valuable. As a matter of fact, when I upload this, I'm going to find the name of that person, look them up, and see what they got going. See what they have to say, see what advice they can give, and I really appreciate that. It's rather nice to see that. So, if you do have any advice for this, I implore you, please tell me. One, for me, because that's why I'm posting this shit. Duh. And then two, for anybody else who may discover it and sort of identify with it. I would I would like to make this a help for not just me, but everybody on the internet. Otherwise, again, I would just go to therapy. And since I truly do see just about every person who does exist to be their own unique little character, maybe my experiences can help somebody else. Maybe me sharing my experiences and getting answers from others can help other people. It's it's a hope. It's a big hope of mine. When I started these, there was the hope of obviously getting help, there was the hope of discovery, and I still want that to be the case. Seeing as I don't have a definitive answer here, now more than ever, I really would appreciate if, well, I found anything. One, through my own individual efforts, and if I do, I'll even make a comment at the top and pin some comments, or pin the comment, if I find it truly helpful. So I'm I'm gonna try and evolve this as more as not just me being vulnerable, pouring my heart out, and not just me figuring out my fears, but also me helping myself and other people. The original sort of series I have going on is simply just a backlog of videos that I can just look back upon, check marks, see what I'm learning, see my progress, and if I need to, display lessons that I already learned and just need to brush up on. Sort of, if I'm feeling lost, I come back, see if I figured out the answer, and essentially study. But I guess I guess I started rambling a little bit, like I think 5 minutes there. So aside from that, if you have anything to say, even if it's a jeering comment, please do comment. I'm probably gonna read it at some point, maybe. I don't check the YouTube studio enough to really guarantee that I'll find everything in due time, but that's kind of how I'm approaching things right now. So, thank you. I will see myself next time.